Good evening. On the other side of the screen are three of my young friends, Ruqayyah Boyer, Brian Smith, and Delon Muffet. Good evening or good afternoon, folks. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm all right.
Well, thanks for joining us. Each of you, just to orient our audience, please tell us a bit about yourself in one sentence if you can. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay. Well,
I'm coming. I'm trying to set up something here.
I'm not good at talking for myself, but I mean, I'm
Because I don't really things that I remember. So
regarding the fact
I
that
don't.
looks
I'm not holding my
this
hand.
old, but I'm a young person who lives in Guyana, who has an interest in politics, a student, and I don't know.
It's all right. It's all right. Delon?
I'm not going to talk about myself. Sorry.
It's okay. Delon?
Yes, my name is Delon Muffet. I'm from Guyana. I'm currently studying abroad. And
Delon, is your mic low? We can hardly hear you.
my mic is
Thank
on.
you, Sir. How are you doing? The other call.
And Brian and Ruqayyah.
That's okay.
Brian and Ruqayyah, you're live. Listen, you guys can't have sidebar conversations because the way this works, any sound you make, you become the subject on screen. So whilst anybody else is speaking, you have to remain quiet. It's not my rules, it's just the technology. Go ahead, Delon.
Yeah, my name is Delon Muffet. I'm from Guyana, and I'm studying abroad presently. But I'm very interested in politics.
And Ruqayyah?
Yes.
Ruqayyah.
Yes, sir.
All right, the question is, tell us a little bit about yourself in one sentence, if that's possible.
Okay. My name is Ruqayyah Boyer, and I'm a resident of Guyana. I am a young, driven young woman who would like to see a change, as the theme for this evening's conversation is about, this afternoon's conversation is about, a change in the way politics is handled in Guyana, a change in which our people are a change in which our leaders address the people and so forth. I'd just like to see a collective change in everything, the way things are handled in Guyana.
So what does this May 11th elections mean to each of you? Brian, you're on screen. You have some noise in your background because you keep bouncing on the screen. You have somebody or something that's making noise?
No, it's quiet here.
Okay, cool. The question is, what does this May election mean to each of you?
Renewal, rebirth, a chance for the nation to breathe, to move forward. Sorry, Delon, to move forward.
Brian, you guys have to speak up. Somehow I'm not hearing you clearly.
I'm saying that I believe that for me this election is a chance for the nation to breathe, a chance for us to move forward as a nation. That's what it is to me.
All right, I'm gonna try one more time. When I tested with you, your sound was quite okay. So either
Yes.
the computer is probably too far from you, but we have to hear what you're saying.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh, this is much better. It's much better. Go ahead.
Good. Yes, I was saying that for me, the election come May 11th is one of renewal. It's one that gives the nation a chance to breathe.
And you, Delon?
For me, I think that this and every election is an opportunity for everyone to exercise the democratic right to choose who they feel is best to lead the country forward. And I think it's an exciting opportunity for people to go out and express themselves.
All right, Delon, I'm gonna ask you the same thing I asked Brian. Either you bring the computer closer to you, or you adjust your microphone so we can hear you properly. Okay,
You
cool.
can hear me better now?
Yes, that sounds a little better. And you, Ruqayyah, May 11th elections, what does this mean to you?
Well, for me, I would like to echo the sentiments of the young men who spoke before, and also include that for me, May 11th is basically my life, in which my life, the direction that my life is going to take is basically dependent on what happens in May 11, because a lot of the process, a lot of the things that I would like to do and see Guyana do in the ways, because I'm a very artistic person, a lot of that is basically compounded and reliant on what transpired May 11th. In addition to that, I see it as a very exciting process where there's an energy among young people that I haven't seen before. So it's an energy that I know will be sustained in other electoral processes after this. So I think that politics and election plays a pivotal role in every person's life, primarily the young people. And as a result, I'd like to see them more involved in the process. So given this electoral season, I've seen a lot of young people come out and, get more involved. And I like to see everyone utilizing their democratic rights to vote. So that makes me a bit inspired. It makes me feel like, our country is moving in a direction forward.
Okay.
So basically that's it.
Tell us your thoughts. Tell us your thoughts on the coalition in Guyana, Ruqayyah. And you're on screen right now. Let's start with you. But more important, give us your perspective on the change it proposes and what it means to you.
Okay, that's a lot to process. For me, honestly speaking, for me, my idea of change, first and foremost, was always one for a generational change to begin with. It's always been one where I've advocated for young people taking the reins, young people taking the leadership roles, because I had a lot of belief in the capacity of our young people to lead, and I think there's a generation gap where there's a thinking process that's completely different, and I would have liked to see new ideas implemented. However, with the coalition coming into play, I completely applauded a union, because I believe at this pivotal point that was something that was crucial and necessary for our country to basically launch the way forward, to move forward as a united front, because we do have, as someone living here, I would have experienced and witnessed the division that we have here. Some may deny it, but we do have a lot of division among our people. It comes out during the election process, and we maybe might question whether it's just the political problem or if it's a people problem, so that comes down to it. So however, I find that the coalition, the existence of it, has allowed that debate, whether it's a people problem or political problem, to kind of be on the back bench, because now people are coming together. You see people from all walks of life joining to kind of we want to change, we want to step forward, and I think that coalition is somewhat inspiring for people of all walks of life, both young and old, because it is inclusive to the common man, to the man with the degree, to the man with business background and different backgrounds. So it's inclusive to all these different walks of people. So I think change for change's sake is just that alone in itself, as a colleague of mine would have mentioned, is something that is necessary for Guyana at this crucial time. And as a result of the coalition spurt, I think it's the way forward. I think we have great leaders in place, and I think it's something that we can all embrace and work together. However, before I just want to wrap up real quickly. I think it should be, even let's say the coalition were to win the elections, I would like to see something of inclusiveness, not a sidelining. Okay, the coalition wins, and we have what would have transpired in the previous elections where the coalition was in the opposition seat.
Well, hold on a second, Ruqayyah. Hold on a minute. Hold that thought. I'm going to get back to that. Let me bring Brian in here and ask him how he feels about this. Brian.
How I feel about the coalition?
Well, yes, but more importantly, the change that it proposes, what does it mean to you?
In 1966, when we had our independence, that was a time in our history when we realized that, together we needed to have a nation. Subsequent to that, we've deviated from that. I believe the coalition brings the truest possibility correcting some of the things that have gone right. I believe that is through the coalition we can actually have development of one nation and not development of different nations.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that the coalition represents the possibility to somehow come to a common ground for us to move forward.
And Delon.
Delon, you might incorporate a move forward word, because it's being used a lot. Sorry, continue.
Delon, where are you?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so can you want me to repeat the question?
No, I got it. I think for me the coalition offers a different take on politics, and that is it's not going to be a winner take all. They're going to have checks and balances and accountability. And for me, for a government to operate with minimal corruption, it has to operate with checks and balances. And I think the coalition offers that, and that's why for me it's exciting. And the fact that they are championing and they're working towards national unity is also warm. It's also very.
Why is that so important? Why is that so important to you? Checks and balances.
Because I believe that if someone does something wrong, then there need to be repercussions for it, and the checks and balances provided would ensure that there is no impunity. People that does stuff that's wrong should be accountable for it.
Mm-hmm. Delon, you come from a very interesting perspective. The last time you were on my show, you were telling us about the time you were born,
Yeah,
and that you've only experienced one government.
definitely.
Now, how does the messaging, in the political theater or the political space, how does that affect you?
For me, I think that the message of moving forward, because for me, that's the key for me is to move forward. I believe that people should be given opportunity, and with opportunity, people could be able to take the country to newer heights. The problem with me is that I don't relate to previous previous governments. Is that I believe with change, we should focus on the things that we could change and let go of the things that we cannot change. Like we cannot change the past. They don't mean that we should forget the past, but we should just focus on the things we could change now.
When you speak to your peers,
Yes.
what are they saying? What are they echoing about what's happening in Guyana and about post May 11th elections? What are their expectations?
Um, that's directed to me.
Yes,
Me,
that's
sir?
to you, Dylan. Sorry.
Okay. Well, most of my peers, they are somewhat disappointed in the direction that the country is heading, and it's a lot of hope in that they are very hopeful that things could actually change, and that the promises being made by the coalition or by the incumbent, that these promises could actually materialize, and that it's not just empty promises. I think a lot of my peers are tired of the empty promises that they have had in the past, and they just want the promises to be materialistic and it should actually come to pass.
And Ruqayyah, do you believe a positive transformation among Guyanese is possible? And how are you, or do you intend to contribute to such a transformation?
Can you repeat the question? It was just a bit
All right, and Ruqayyah, try not to move around so much, please. The question is, do you believe a positive transformation among Guyanese is possible? And how are you, or do you intend to contribute to such a transformation?
Oh, yes, I definitely believe that a positive transformation, granted that all the elements are in place, is possible. it comes from the head straight down, because the people of Guyana do have, the will is there. The will is there to come together and change for the majority. The will is there with the young people to just not have a rhetoric, to just have each other to build on, to encourage, to develop in the different parts that, in the different areas that they're qualified to develop. And we have a lot of talent and a lot of smart young people here, and the older folk here that are very willing to contribute to that change process. Granted that the process is put in place to allow for us to do our part and do our work. In terms of my personal contributions, I would have started off in the field of pageantry and started off in this ambassadorial role and so forth, and encouraging young people for different roles. I have a keen interest in the issue of domestic violence and bullyism and the breakdown it's causing in our society, and women empowerment in an effect as well. So I would just continue. I have my own foundation that caters to that, and I also work alongside the Caribbean American Domestic Violence Awareness Group that also caters to that. So I would just continue work in that regard and see that work along with the new government to help build infrastructure, to help build safe houses and so forth, because it's usually a collective effort that helps these issues to become like a reduce. But I know the will is there for people in Guyana to come together and change, but it really comes down to leadership, because the people may have the will and it's just left like isolated because there is no avenue in which they can practice that will. But where there's a will, there's a way. I think there's a way.
All right. Brian.
Same question.
Yeah. I want to hit you with something hard, Brian. You're Mr. Debater. Tell us about your expectations, if any, for the government of Guyana 2015 and beyond, regardless of who wins.
Well, fortunately, I believe that there is going to be a change in government. My expectations are that for once, finally, I think we should start the process of reconciliation. We should start the process of nation building. We should start the process of healing. I believe even before we can start our development, that is necessary. Because in as much as 20-something years have passed, I believe that we're still fractured. We haven't healed. We haven't had a good healing. So I think that going forward, the expectations I have are those that brings a nation together. That is my primary focus. And then anything else after.
You mentioned reconciliation.
For me, the coalition gives the best opportunity for us to come together. And it might take a different slant, not necessarily putting so much emphasis on strong leadership at this point, but in people understanding their role and their function. Because at times we get carried away with strong leadership, and strong leadership takes us down the road. But people need to understand that through us down the road. But people need to understand that through a coalition, through this coalition government, because you have different parties who essentially act as checks and balances on themselves. And that, by extension, creates a more informed population, a more informed, because different parties come with their following.
So, Brian, how do you propose to get the people to understand, if in the absence of strong leadership?
Whilst I have, it's difficult. It's not simple. It's not, you can't have.
Well, let's do this. Let's do this, because I think you have something there, but let's expand on it. Give me an idea. Give me an example. Let's say you're the principal of a school, and you have 100 students, and you want to impress upon them the importance of them understanding the principles and policies of this school without you being around, or without you having to See, now you put me in quite of a kind of a situation here. But anyway, Brian, what are you gonna what are you gonna tell these
My
students?
first thing should be having the principal dictating what should be the school's moral and values. I think that, again, through healing and through us coming together as a nation, figuring out where we want to go, I lean towards the students of themselves coming to a common ground and deciding, you know what, this is what we want, this is what we envision, and then moving forward. I would lean towards that, not so much so a principle imposing, what should be considered.
So then, Brian, that means we do need leadership.
As I said, it's not simple. You must have leadership. You must have leadership.
All right, all right. Moving along. If you, and while I have you there, if you could ask Presidents Donald Ramatar and former President Bart Jagdeo 2 questions, what would you ask them?
I would ask them, the first question I would ask is, why is it that after 3 generations, as a taxpayer, you have a community on the coastline that has never seen a road in its life, whilst your other communities, 2 communities down, that have had their roads done 3 times over? That's the first thing I would ask the current president. And the second to the previous president, Mr. Jagdeo, I would ask, when we realize as a nation that we have an opposition and a government, I would think it astute leadership to reach out to the members of the opposition, because like it or not, even though those persons didn't support you, they have a constituency, they have a following, and they are Guyanese as well. So why would we want to essentially remove them from the negotiation process and do things as though we have 100% government? I think that Mr. Jagdeo needs to speak about that, and why it is those of the opposition, members of the opposition, haven't been included substantially into the governance of our country.
Mm. There may be many, but Ruqayyah, I want to get back. I want to get back to you and dealing with young people. Ruqayyah, you have traveled. You have traveled the world, and you had to have been this. You have traveled the world in the capacity of sort of an ambassador, and you had to have been disciplined with your journey. You had to have been very disciplined. You had to be your conduct had to be good, and so on. If you were talking to a group of young people about the importance of discipline and good conduct to be taken seriously, what would your message be to them?
Well, your word and your repetition is basically all. When you strip apart everything else, your word and repetition is the legacy that you build. Mm-hmm. So discipline and conduct is essential in your growth process. So people respect you as an extension of the person that you project yourself to be, and that comes with a lot of discipline. That comes with the people that you choose to associate yourself with. That comes with your own self-empowerment, your own self-motivation, and it's very possible. I mean, there are different people. Each person out there has a different personality, and it's really about just motivating yourself, ensuring that you surround yourself with like minds of people where whatever you want to do in life, you set a goal and you associate yourself with folks who want to support you on that journey, or that can encourage.
That's the program that I was on.
I can't remember this.
Ms. Nicole has arrived.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I think that's a process. It's very important because, at the end of the day, all you have is that repetition that you would have built for yourself coming down to you, and that's what you have to represent. So mm-hmm. You have to discipline yourself. If you don't have your parents there to do it for you, you can just surround yourself with people who are positive and uplifting people.
Okay, I want to try something with you, and I think it might eliminate the echo a little bit. Is there any way you can adjust your iPod to give us a closer shot of your head, like bring you in? No, yeah, right. But coming closer.
Coming closer.
I
You don't want to see see the gadgets I set up just to make
Okay,
sure.
okay, Ruqayyah. Okay, Ruqayyah. Okay, Ruqayyah. Thanks a lot for the effort. Well, I want to read something here. I want a Guyana where I can walk the streets without fear of being attacked by the police. I want a Guyana where I can make a sound investment and approach institutions without fear of having to wonder if my last name will make a difference. I want a Guyana where my university education matters. I want Guyana to move forward. These are the words of Brian Smith. So I ask you, Brian, why should a young man, a citizen of Guyana, be so worried? What is happening?
This is the whole